Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a bit of a different video, I guess. It's a mixed media card that I'm going to be making, or a couple of cards for some RAKs that I'm going to be sending. So I wanted some note cards so I could put a note into the into the little gift thingy that I'm making. So anyway, I decided I'm going to do a bit of mixed media because I was feeling mixed media-y, and I also wanted to do a little shaker in these cards as well, because I've never really done that before. So, and I had everything that I thought I needed. So I'm starting off here by spreading some gesso across two A5 pieces of cardstock. And I just used a tag to do that, so that's quite often what I do. Then the tag ends up with half of it covered in white paint, which then means you could decorate it later. Then I'm adding some of this gorgeous shimmery watercolour, and this is an Artist Loft palette. I'm obsessed with this palette at the moment actually, and every colour has some gorgeous shimmer in it. And so this first card here, this first background for the card, I'm using lots of different shades of teal, green. I'm also adding like a really lime green and a yellow colour to it. And here I've skipped ahead here, and it's dry, and you can see that shimmer in that. It's just so cool. It's a very glittery, very shimmery process today. And then this one, I decided I would do lots of orange, and I'm going to use some contrasting colours of sequins in each of them. So I am just using some different shades of orange from the palette, peach, and sort of flamingo-y pink, which when you mix it a little bit, it becomes a salmon sort of shade. So I'm just, again, using quite a lot of water, slapping it on, and because the gesso is on there, it's allowing all of that water to run. It's not soaking straight into the paper. So it's making some pretty patterns with those colours. Then, as before, I'm going to use my heat tool to dry it, but you're not going to see that bit. So, yeah, it's going to skip ahead in a second to show you it all dry. And there you go again with that shimmer. And then I'm going to use a stencil, and I'm going to add some ink over the top. This is a homemade stencil. I found a little heart shape online that I really liked, and I just copied that. It was like a, what they called, clip art heart, and I just duplicated it multiple times and made this little stencil. And I'm just using two different shades of Memento Dewdrop ink for each of the cards. So for this one, I'm using a bright orange called Tangelo, and I'm using a makeup sponge, and I'm just pushing it through the stencil. And then I'll obviously clean the stencil off before I move on to use the green colour on the green background. And this just looks really cool. I'm varying the pressure a little bit as I push through here, so some of the hearts are going to be slightly darker shade of orange, and some are going to be a lighter tone. For the green, I'm going to use this gorgeous acid lime green colour. Again, a Memento Dewdrop ink, a pigment ink in Pear Tart, I believe it's called. It's a good name. And again, exactly the same technique. With a makeup sponge, I'm just pushing that ink through the stencil, varying the pressure so I get some different shades, and it adds some interest and some texture to this background paper. So let's see what it looks like. Ooh, I always get so excited before I lift a stencil off. Oh, it's so cute. Those hearts are gorgeous. And then don't forget to clean your stencil off, obviously. Here I'm going to use this kind of like pewter coloured splattery. Well, I'm going to make some splatters. It's a Ranger spray ink, and it's a gorgeous, what's the word I'm looking for? Like quite a dark silver. And I actually think that certainly on the orange, a gold might have been better, but I had these really cool sequins that were like holographic that I wanted to use. So, and they're holographic silver. So I thought I'd add the silver so it kind of played throughout the whole card. So here I am trimming the borders off, and then I'm sizing this to fit my card base. So my card base is 5 inches square, and these little pieces of background paper that I've cut down are 4 3/4 inches. And then I'm cutting this foam, which is going to sandwich between the card base and the paper layer that's going to form kind of the decoration of the card, and I'm cutting them to about 4.5 inches. So I've got my 2 blocks. They're just kids fun foam, so I normally use those to bump photos up when I'm scrapbooking, so I happen to have those. So next, and I'm going to show you this just with one card because I learned a lot of lessons as I was doing this. So take your plate that you're going to run through your die cutting machine out of the machine, lay it on your desk, lay up the 2 pieces of paper. So you've got your kind of decorative element and then the card base, and then place your circle in the center and stick it down with some washi tape just to hold it in place as you run it through. You definitely want to take the plate out to do that, because the first time I stuck it onto the plate while the plate was still in the machine, and as a result the circle is slightly wonky, like it's not very central. So that is the lesson that I learnt. Okay, and then next you want to take your kind of hollowed out layer here, or kind of decorative element, and then you're going to place the circle die inside of that. So you're using that decorative card element as a guide for where you're then going to run the die through the machine and press out a circle in the foam in exactly the same place as well. So now you've got all of your pieces and they're all going to layer nicely on top of each other. Right, so you can see I've done one card here. That was just my trial run off camera. And now I'm going to kind of talk you through as a bit more, not of an expert, but definitely having learnt a few things the last time. So you want to start off by cutting 2 pieces of acetate. If you don't have acetate, you could easily use some old packaging. And then you're going to use double-sided sticky tape, and you're going to go the whole way around the outside of your circle. And once you have all of that sticky tape down, then you're obviously going to peel it off, and I've kind of skipped ahead here a little bit. And once it's all peeled off, you're going to stick your first piece of acetate down. You're going to need 2 pieces of acetate that will sandwich either side of the foam. So once you've got your acetate stuck down, now you need to stick down your foam. So again, I'm just layering over the top of the acetate and the card base the next layer of double-sided tape. This layer, because you're going to have sequins in here, you want to make sure that you've got all of the corners covered. You don't want any gaps where the sequins could sneak out. So I was just a little bit cautious with that. It doesn't really matter how much sticky tape you use for when you're sticking the acetate to the actual card base, but when you're sticking the foam down, either side of that foam needs to be really well stuck. Here I'm just kind of like tucking in a little bit of glue that was visible through that first piece of acetate. Okay, and then you can put your sequins in. What I did the very first time was I stuck the foam to the card front rather than the card base, and then it was such a pain in the ass because I couldn't organize the sequins and they kept going everywhere, and it was really annoying. So stick your foam to the card base next, and then you've got your kind of pocket ready to add all of your sequins. My advice for a good sequin mix is pick lots of different textures, and you probably want more sequins in there than you think you need, because the orange card, I feel like there's not quite enough sequins, but it felt like a lot when I'd stacked them up. So I just think shove a whole load in, lots of different textures and shapes. I've got some little flower ones, some little stars, some really tiny little hearts, and some big sequins and some small sequins, a nice little mixture. Then you're going to do the same with your card front here. So you're going to stick some double-sided tape down and stick the acetate on. And then you're going to go nice and thoroughly around the outside of that card front with lots of double-sided sticky tape. So you want a nice kind of layer on there with all of your joints covered, so that there's nowhere for those sequins to be able to creep out. And then using both hands, just layer it up nicely, make sure it's level, and then push it down. And there you have your shaker. which is just so cute. So now I'm going to move on to decorating them. So I've kind of skipped ahead. I made these paper flowers, and I'm just going to link a tutorial up. There's going to be a card at the top here so that you can watch a tutorial for how to make the flowers. But I just used a die cut, 3 different sizes, and I cut out the flowers from different types of paper and layered them up and attached them with a brad. And here I am just making my sentiment, which says something like, "You are brilliant, keep it up," or something like that. Then I just stuck that on, or stamped that on some white card using the Pear Tart colour. And then I'm going to ink the edges as I'm doing here. And this is going to be the sentiment that goes on the orange card, because I thought that green looked nice with the sequins in the middle there. And I'm going to then bump that up on a little piece of foam tape, and then I'm going to add these flowers around the bottom of the shaker, kind of following that circle. So here I've just trimmed down some double-sided foam tape, and I am adding therefore a little bit of texture, a little bit of a lift to this sentiment, and then I'm going to stick it down at the top there. And then get myself some wet acrylic glue, and I'm going to stick the flowers down as well. Oh, actually, look, I'm adding a metallic border. So I'm using a silver pen just to add a metallic border here. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't done it, but I did it and it doesn't look terrible. It's just not as nice as it might have otherwise been. It might be really nice, actually, to stitch the card frame or the card front before you stick it down. So adding the acrylic glue to the back of the flowers, and I'm also going to add this acrylic glue to the leaves as well. And I cut 3 leaves for this one, 2 leaves for the other one, just because I ran out of green paper or this particular shade of green. And once that's all stuck down, I'm just going to finish off with some additional gem embellishments. But I just love how it's looking, and I love the shaker kind of element. It's just so pretty, isn't it? So I'm adding these gorgeous gems, which are in a kind of holographic sparkle to them, that came from the range, I believe, and just adding a couple of those, and that is it. That is the card pretty much done. Oh, I'm adding a little drop of Wink of Stella over the top here because I just happen to have this. I think my brother might have got me this for Christmas or something. It's really cool. It's very glittery, but I squeezed it too hard and then I ended up with a splodge. But I just spread it out and it's dried fine now. And then I'm going to decorate the other card, which I've done off camera here, and I'm just going to kind of show you what they look like. But I just love them. They're so cute. I don't know what kind of envelope they're going to fit in, but I'm not too worried as they're going kind of in a parcel, but that might be something to think about. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like the video if you did, subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.